Today on my Vietnam series, we're going to travel about 60 kilometers to the outskirts of Ho Chi Minh City to visit the famous Chi tunnels. The Chi tunnels are approximately about 125 miles worth of underground network tunnels that were dug by the Vietnamese. And although they are best known for their role in the successful Vietnam War campaign by the Viet Cong, they were actually initially dug to fight against the French. It's advisable to go with a tour group, not only because it's quite far and you need the transportation, but also somebody who knows enough about the layout of the Chi tunnels to be able to guide you around and show you where to enter the tunnels and what portions are safe. Most tours are about $30 US a person. So there are two sites where you can access the tunnels. We are at Ben Dinh, and there's also Ben Duoc. Ben Duoc one is much larger and has a temple there, and this one is closer to Saigon, probably a little bit more touristy. So quick history on the Chi tunnels. This area known as Chi was originally inhabited by farmers, and during the French Rebellion, the tunnels were originally dug as a way to escape the conflict. As the rebellion progressed, many of the tunnels were then connected, forming a network. And then during the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong took over these tunnels, enlarging them to make them essentially their underground headquarters. It was not only their system of getting around, but it was also their bunkers, their hospital, their commissary, their storage area, and their operations centers. Being underground, the conditions were not all that great. The oxygen was always an issue. There were a ton of parasites and pests. Most of the Viet Cong troops battled malaria, and almost all had some form of internal digestive parasite. The Americans and their allies undertook several attempts to try and defeat these tunnels. Originally, they tried to collapse a lot of the openings, but without really understanding the extent of these networks, they didn't really have very much effect. It wasn't until after the Australians took an attempt to try and go in and map the tunnel system that they really begun to understand how to deal with the tunnels more effectively. After that, they began to employ an elite force called tunnel rats who would go in and ferret out individual Viet Cong and also gather intelligence. This helped the US forces target the Chi tunnels much better. Finally, they undertook one last attempt and carpet bombed the whole entire area to try to wipe out the main arteries. The Chi tunnels are accessed via these tiny little openings, expanded here to fit our huge modern butts. They were camouflaged to be difficult to find. These were also instant hiding spots when the Viet Cong were being pursued. Sometimes the openings were cleverly integrated into landscape features and the scent masked by American clothing and other forged remnant. The openings were protected by simple but deadly booby traps. They were all sorts of inventive ways to injure or kill the enemy. The cupping armpit trap that pierces your leg and is impossible to escape from. The rolling trap that spikes your leg going through and back out. The window trap with two spike boards that lock close on you. And the seesaw trap that swings up and spikes your upper body as you fall in. Got caught by a bit of an unexpected rainstorm here. Hopefully it stops soon. These tunnels were all manually dug with crude tools and at night to avoid detection. After the dirt was hauled up, it was carted away in baskets and neatly dumped into hidden areas, like this bomb crater. We're now going into the Chi tunnels. The small portion of tunnel tourists can crawl through have been widened, set with cement, and lights added for visibility. It's pretty claustrophobic. Can you imagine the conditions in the original tunnels? And there's baths to boot. Another bunker. Stick close to your guide and the person in front of you as the tunnels fork, and God forbid you get lost. And when you've had enough, up and out. The Viet Cong had to be super resourceful. In addition to recycling all of the ammunition, they recycled these tires from abandoned trucks to make these shoes. Cooking-wise, they couldn't put the chimney right above the stovetop, and so they would dig a long trench like this and locate the chimney like hundreds of meters sometimes away from the cooking site. And they'd only cook in the early morning, and so all the smoke came up like this. Kind of looks like mist. Very clever. And here, yikes, is the shooting range where adults 18 plus can try out an AK-47, M16, and other military guns for a fee. And we are done with the Chi Tunnel tours. Final photo op with Uncle Home. That was a very interesting, albeit a little bit wet, tour of the Chi tunnels today. Thanks for joining me, and until next time.